David Griffin has actually done something right. The Pelicans are finalizing a trade to send Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, and 2 future first-round picks, one of which is the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, as well as a 2022 first-round pick from the Lakers, over to Memphis for Jonas Valanciunas and the 17th overall pick. Some second-round picks were swapped, though the details to that are insignificant. I'll be making a separate video talking about the Grizzlies as a whole and what this trade exactly entails for them as a team, but for the Pelicans, this was the absolute best case scenario. My problem with David Griffin was last offseason he traded for Steven Adams, and without seeing the fit between him and Zion Williamson, he gave Steven Adams a nice juicy contract extension, which was probably not a good decision. And the fit between the two of them was not the best this year. It wasn't the absolute worst, but with the two of them being inside predicated players, it wasn't a match made in heaven. Meanwhile, for Eric Bledsoe, the moment the Pelicans got him from the Bucks, they should have immediately shipped him to OKC with a Lakers first round pick. But for some strange reason, David Griffin thought Eric Bledsoe was going to want to play for the Pelicans and somehow boost his trade value so the Pelicans can move him for assets. Unsurprisingly though, Drew Bledsoe did not want to play for the Pelicans in 2021. He wasn't the absolute worst on the court, but he was capable of doing so much more for the Pelicans. And the problem for the Pelicans was partly their production, but more importantly, the amount they were paying them. There's only 2 teams in the NBA who haven't went over the luxury tax. Those 2 teams are the Hornets and the Pelicans. For the Pelicans, they're a cheap franchise that's not going to go over the luxury tax. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need to get max value out of all of your contracts. For the Pelicans, however, having those 2 on the roster essentially suffocated any cap flexibility they would have had this summer. And with Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart being upcoming free agents, though I don't think Josh Hart wants to come back, the Pelicans were going to lose both of them because of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams. So for the Pelicans, the big thing was, how could they get rid of the 2 of them without having to give up too many assets? In this trade, they do exactly that. In fact, they got maximum peak value to the point that I think Kevin McHale might be running things over in Memphis. For them to get Jonas Valanciunas, who at the center position is one of the best fits in the NBA next to Zion Williamson, while they're basically just trading down 7 spots in this year's draft, it's an incredible trade. The pick they give them from the Lakers will be essentially a early second round pick. And for the Pelicans, this is amazing for Zion Williamson. Over the past few years, Jonas Valanciunas has developed a 3-point shot, and with him playing next to Jaren Jackson Jr. in Memphis, that prevented him more from playing on the outside. So next to a totally different power forward in New Orleans and Zion Williamson, I fully expect Jonas Valanciunas to play a little more on the outside than he did in Memphis. But on top of him being able to space the floor, he is a top 5 rebounder in the NBA, which is huge next to Zion Williamson. There were games last year where Zion would have 20 points, but 2, 3, or 4 rebounds, which is not enough for one of your big men. So with Valanciunas, you're getting the best of both worlds. Somebody that can get out of the driving lanes for Zion to do his thing, but at the same time can do all the dirty work Steven Adams was doing for Zion in 2021. But on top of them, getting rid of Bledsoe and Adams without having to give up much draft capital, and getting the best player in the trade by far in Jonas Valanciunas, the New Orleans Pelicans just opened up roughly $20 million in cap space. And bringing back one of the best role players in the NBA in Lonzo Ball would be a great decision for the Pelicans. And even if things don't work out with them bringing back Lonzo in restricted free agency, there's a plethora of players in the market this offseason who could help the Pelicans take the next step, or even 2 extra steps. This team didn't even make the play-in tournament last year, but with Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, this team has a ceiling of being a 5 or 6 seed next season. So shout out to David Griffin. For the first time in a long time, he made a good decision. I'm happy to see it, and I want to see more of it to come, because if I don't, I'm fairly confident David Griffin will get canned. Because of that, the clock is already ticking for the New Orleans Pelicans to reach the next level. Because of a player of Zion Williamson's caliber, there is no time to waste.